In the vise today, we've got a rabbit strip tube fly that we use in the winter quite a bit. I've heard it called a samurai, but it's basically just a rabbit strip tube fly with some marabou and some Polish chenille. But we love this fly. We just have confidence in it. We like the tube we tie it on, which is a Pro Tube Classic medium, which has a little bit of softness to it, which we like for the rigging, and I'll kind of explain that in the video a little bit. But it's just a fly that we like to swing in the winter, and should be one that you've got in your box as well. Okay, today we're tying I've heard them called a samurai, but it's just basically a rabbit leech that we use for swinging for steelhead in the winter quite a bit. We're tying it on a tube fly. Or on a tube rather. This is a Pro Tube Classic in this medium size. I like this tube quite a bit. It's relatively soft. It goes on this mandrel well. This is the Pro Tube mandrel, and what I like about it is that it's kind of soft, and it'll compress down. And how I rig my tube flies generally is just pulling a knot that has a loop on it up into the tube, and just kind of the compression of the thread narrows the diameter of this tube enough to stop that knot. So we like this tube here. And the way this mandrel works, it just clips in your vise, and it's tapered, and you slide your tube onto that until the taper prevents it from sliding any further. You don't want to compress your wraps too much here. It can become kind of difficult to pull the tube off or pull your fly off once the fly is complete. Start a little thread base there. We're using some Polish chenille here for our underbody. This is kind of what creates the fly's profile, props it up. Gives the marabou and rabbit some room to swim, and kind of gives it a bulkier profile. And this stuff goes a long ways, don't need to use a whole lot. So we're going to palmer this forward, just like you were doing a natural hackle. We're trying to kind of pull each fiber back or hold it back from getting trapped in there as we palmer it forward. Just 4 or 5 turns is all we need there. I'll tie that off. Gonna pull out any trap fibers there. One thing I like about this fly is that we're using rabbit and marabou, both very easy to obtain materials that are relatively cheap and come in a lot of colors. So the color combinations with this are endless. Whatever your favorite color combo is in the winter. Since they're easy and quick, you can have them in an array of colors and weights. We're gonna put some lead eyes here on the front, and you're able to have a number of color patterns and weights, kind of depending on the spot and conditions. So what I've done here with my hide, with my rabbit, I trimmed it there, but I kind of tapered the cut and left a little bit of hide for the tie-in point, for the attachment point, and that just kind of results in a less bulkier tie-in point, making it a little easier to attach our marabou here without having too bulky of a body. So some pretty tight wraps there. We want that nice and secure. That's kind of the weakest point of the fly, that rabbit strip can get pulled out. But that looks pretty good. Gonna put just a little bit of glue there. Now for our marabou, this fly, obviously a pink rabbit strip. I'm gonna do a white marabou. This is one of my favorite color combos in the winter, white and pink. I'm gonna take my marabou and I'm gonna start at the tip. I'm just kind of pull back where I want to tie in. Right there. So we're going to tie in by the tip, cup of the feather down towards the tube. Cut off our excess there. I like to we can advance our thread forward here just a little bit, just to kind of get it out of the way. Now it's pretty easy to trap some of our marabou feathers in here, so we're being careful with each wrap, trying not to do that. Right about there, just like three turns of the marabou. Gonna tie that off. Clip our marabou there. Just like that. Now, should have pulled this out beforehand. We're gonna add a little bit of flash. I like just some pink flashabou here. I'm going to take about 4 strands of it. Tie in kind of on the top, angled one end to each side, pull that back over, capture it again. And that's our flash, kind of having that extend back to our the tail of the rabbit. Now for a collar, we're going to use some guinea here. And we're going to prep this just like we prepped our marabou. We're going to tie it in by the tip. Capturing that there right on top. Clipping our tag end away. So I like to do a kind of a scissor fold here, where we're taking our marabou, and on the side that's away from us, we're going to open our blade of our scissors. We're just going to run that right down the stem, and that kind of takes away the natural stiffness out of the fibers on the far side, and it's going to make a collar that lays down a little flatter. And we're pulling those back with each turn. Guinea is such a cool feather, but it is pretty stiff, and if you don't do that little fold there, it tends to just kind of stand up and not be smooth with the rest of the materials, and not giving it kind of not a great look. My crying daughter there in the background, she'll be tying flies in no time. So just like that. I'm going to trap that there. Perfect. Now we fish a lot of kind of ledge rock rivers where we're trying to get our fly down quick, and the swing might only be like, you know, a third of the actual cast. We're sinking our fly quite a bit, and then just kind of barely coming tight to it at the end. So we use pretty heavy flies. So here, and each spot's kind of different. So I like having quite a few flies with different weights. But I'm going to put kind of the standard one that we use is just a large nickel-plated dumbbell eyes. So I'm going to secure these here. I like having them kind of even with the rabbit there. I'm actually going to take it off here and move it. Okay, so there we are. Fly eye secured. Bring our thread forward of the eye. We're finished there. So that is our fly. So you can see we have just like a little bit of a tag end of tube left. I'm going to cut that off, leaving just like maybe an 1/8 of an inch of tube. Okay, so we've got our complete fly here. We've cut off the remainder of our tube, leaving just about 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna get our lighter kind of towards the bottom end, the blue part of the flame there. We're just gonna barely hit it. And now you may need to go in there with a bodkin. And I find a bodkin, if you thread a bodkin in there into the tube, that bodkin hole is just a perfect size for like a 10 or 12 pound maxima to come out, and nothing else. We want that hole there to be pretty small, not allowing our knot to come through it, because we run our line through using a surgeon's loop, we create our loop to come back to the end of the rabbit here to loop on our hook, and we want that knot to secure there at the head of the fly, kind of in there where the eyes are. Oftentimes just the compression of the thread on this tube is enough to secure the knot in there, but we just as a added security, we want that hole where the line is threaded through to be relatively small, not allowing the hook to come through further. So there you have it, our rabbit samurai or rabbit strip leech, whatever you want to call it, but it's an effective winter fly, one we use quite a bit, and you can tie it in a myriad of lengths, sizes, weights, and color combinations. So that was the samurai tube fly. I encourage you to tie a few up of your own in your favorite color and go out and use it in your favorite winter steelhead stream. And if you don't catch any fish, it's because you're swinging flies in the winter for steelhead, and that's how it goes sometimes. But we like this fly a lot, have confidence in it, and you should too.